Hi, I'm Sam, a flying guide, and welcome back to the horror show. I know it's been some time, but I'm back, and this should be more permanent now. Or at least it ought to, unless I just, don't care anymore and just, never mind. But I want to get back into doing this, I really do. And I want to get back into doing other things for YouTube. So, this should be more permanent. A lot has happened in my life. For example, I got married, so that's pretty cool. But yes, this is where I'll be filming and watching, and maybe not just watching here, but you get the point. This is ultimately where the videos will be filmed, unless something happens or if weird things happen. But here I am. And the movie that I'm reviewing today is Blood Glacier. It's a foreign movie. It came out in Austria. It came out in 2013. It's not rated, although I would say if it was rated by American standards, it might be rated R, but I would say a really hard PG-13 or a very light rated R, probably. That would probably have to be it, because I mean, it's rating, but there's some light PG-13s and there's some hard PG-13s and then some light Rs and not so. And this movie is about an hour and 40 minutes, so I mean it's a bit of a watch, but it's not a problem, not really anyway. One thing I didn't check, although I really should have, was what the budget was. I'm not sure what the budget was, but I do know the box office was a little less, worldwide, was a little less than 130K. So that sounds pretty good for this kind of movie, although as I said, I don't know what the budget was, so if it was less, then that's really good. If it was more, then that's really bad. But anyway, the movie is directed by Marvin Kren, and actors, the main actors slash characters I would say in the movie, although there are a lot of characters in this movie, was Gerhard Liebmann and Edita Malovcic, or Malovcic. I'm not sure how to pronounce that exactly. But the synopsis of the movie: scientists working in the Austrian Alps discover that a glacier is leaking a liquid that appears to be affecting the wildlife. And I would say the short sentence of what I would describe this movie is The Thing, but worse. I was going to say a little, something different, but... So, I mean, it's not like The Thing, the alien and it's a shapeshifter, but it is kind of like The Thing in the sense of body horror and that kind of thing. Ultimately, the thing about this movie is that this liquid that's oozing out, it's not really oozing out of the glacier, but the liquid that's there, the blood on the glacier, it's kind of like a laboratory of sorts, that being, if say a fox is licking it and then eats a beetle, then the genes are gonna mix and something new is gonna be made. So it's Dr. Frankenstein a bit. But that's a really interesting concept, because then they're like, what if, werewolves and mermaids weren't myths, but what if they were these? Because, that would make sense for this idea. Or what if Anubis wasn't, a god, but, that kind of thing. And it's an interesting idea, and I like that idea. But I guess here's the thing with the movie. I would say this: the best thing about this movie, for me personally, is nostalgia and the monsters in it, what the monsters in it look like and the effects of such. Reason why it's nostalgia is because the very first time I watched this movie, I was 8 to 10, maybe 11 or something like that. It was a movie that me and Dad watched on Netflix or something a long time ago, probably when it came out or a little after it came out. And I remember remembering this movie very fondly, thinking like, "Whoa, this movie is really great. I love this movie." But revisiting it today, and just, you know, whatnot, it's like, either I watched a different kind of version of this movie, or my memory is not serving me well. Because the things that I did not like about this movie, which I get one of them, it's CGI. It's like, I kind of get that if your budget's tight. Kind of character development, but more so just like character choices and whatnot in the movie that it's like, come on, like, now it's just like, what are we doing, like. But then the cherry on top that just, it was a bit frustrating the whole movie, was the dubbing. See, it's a foreign movie, so if you want to watch it in English, you know, there's dubbing. Although, to be fair, say you go on Tubi to go and look at the movie, and then you watch the movie on Tubi, you're automatically with the dubbed. And it was just a little frustrating because it just didn't sound right, and then you see them lips, and it's not, you know, accordingly. And it's like, okay. And that kind of sucked a little bit. But, one thing I did kind of like is the, Gerhard's character is kind of like the McCready character from The Thing. Kind of look-wise, but more so, like, personality-wise. Like, the first time you see his character, he's, like, passed out drunk on the floor. Which, you don't see McCready like that, but McCready does like to get drunk. Or, like, wants to get drunk kind of thing. So, yeah, this is the kind of movie that if I was doing, like, a out of 5, it's probably, like, a 2, or, yeah, it'd probably be a 2. Because, like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but revisiting it is a bit infuriating, revisiting it, because of the things that I didn't like about it. Which, I mean, the CGI, that's whatever. There's not that much that can be done about that, especially if there's a tight budget, because at some point, it's like, if you want what you're picturing, you know, sometimes you have to go and use CGI, but you could just obviously tell, and it looked But they did use some practical effects in it, and that was really cool. So some of that was really cool. But then the character dev slash choices, and then the dubbing, just, I hated the dubbing so much. But I still like the nostalgia. I still like, you know, certain things about the movie. And then, of course, the kind of idea that, like, it's not Lovecraftian, because they try to go in the, like, evolutionary approach of, like, what this thing is, right? The substance, the liquid that is on the glacier. But, no, it's more of, like, a scientific kind of, like, point of view, especially in the whole, like, you know, climate change and that kind of stuff. That's, like, a kind of big topic, which, like, it's a whatever topic, but, like, dude, in the 70s, they were saying it the other way around. So, I mean, it's kind of boring now, especially hearing it in movies, because, sure, you could be passionate about it, but, like, tell me, why did people in the 70s were like, oh, it's gonna be freezing, it's gonna be so cold, the Ice Age is gonna return? And now it's the other way around, so, I mean, that's my thought about that. So, it's like, that's another thing about the movie that's like, just because a lot of movies from, like, around that time period of 2013 were kind of like that. So, but, I mean, overall, it's a fine-ish movie that if you could get through the things that I said, unless there's maybe something else about it you don't like, then you should be fine. Is this a movie that you could have fun watching? Yeah, or maybe more so like the second half of the movie. The first half is kind of interesting, but then the second half is, I would say, probably more interesting, or maybe a bit repetitive, but it's whatever. You'd also kind of have to accept certain aspects as well, and it's like, Anyway, I'm Sam Flying Kite. I am back. This is the first one back, like, actually back. If I don't do any more, like, if I miss next week's one, then I'm, like, probably just not doing YouTube anymore, just because, like, YouTube is a bit taxing in the sense of I have to do constant things, but that's the point. That's the bit of the point. And if I want to make something out of YouTube and it to be like a huge thing, then like I have to actually start doing something about, you know, what I'm doing on YouTube, whether that's different videos or different stuff or whatnot. But anyway, I'm Sam, Flying Kite. I reviewed Blood Glacier today, and I think it's worth a watch, but probably not multiple watches. Like, I mean, I might find myself watching it 1 or 2 more times in my life, but that's only because the nostalgia, I guess. But I don't know, maybe it changes. Or maybe I end up liking it because, you know, that's the thing that happens too. People, you know, if you watched a movie 10 years ago and you hated it and then you revisit it today, you probably have a different mind of things and you might like it or you might hate it more. But anyway, I will see you next week. Goodbye.